I had a call recently with someone who told me you could make $1,000 in 45 days selling ad space on postcards, and all you need is Canva. All right, Rachel's here. She's the one who told me about this. Community cards. Rachel, what are community cards?
Yeah, so community cards, think of like Valpak, but way better. So, and what I mean by that is it's a huge postcard that gets mailed out to thousands of homes in your area, and it features multiple local businesses on one postcard. I've actually got one right here, so this will kind of help you visualize. So it's front and back. Multiple local businesses can hop on this postcard and share the costs. So essentially it works out to be way cheaper for every business participating than it would be for them to do that on their own.
I imagine everyone listening who didn't see that, they can picture it, right? They can picture a postcard that comes with ads on there. I kind of like the idea of being on the other side of this. I'm sure lots of people are like, oh God, and they throw it away, right? And they're annoyed by these things. But imagine if you're on the other side and you're making the money on these things, that might be a little more intriguing.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, some are going to get thrown away. That's just how mail goes. Some people are like, this is junk, I don't need it. Others, you're going to catch their attention. But I mean, how many so we send out 2,500 at a time. How many of those would you really need to make a difference in your business? So even if 99% of them throw it away and 1% call you, that's still pretty good.
Yeah. Well, it's like, if you put an online equivalent to that, I mean, we're e-commerce guys, we run online businesses and all of that sort of thing, and 99 out of 100 people you send to your website don't buy anything, right?
Right.
You only end up selling to 1%. So yeah, for sure. If some get thrown out, I don't imagine that's a huge problem, you know what I mean?
Right. That's typical marketing. 1% is a win.
Yeah. It sounds so small.
Right. It really does.
People listening will not be shocked by this. I want to do this. Just doing the research for this episode, looking into you, I'm like, I want to do this one too. Often reference my brother. He's our best listener by far. Josh, you should do this too. This seems very simple. So I'm sure I'm not the only one who's going to want to do this, but I want to walk through it step by step to get the listener excited, right? So walk me through exactly how to do this in my time. Like I feel like when we had our little intro call, you told me I could make $1,000 this weekend. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm putting words in your mouth, but tell me how to make $1,000 this weekend.
Yeah, 100%. So it's actually really, really simple. And it starts so a lot of people get hung up in the design, and the design is like the last piece that you need to worry about. So we've even told people who are like on their last dollar, they're like, I can't afford anything to get started. Then you don't even need to get Canva. So just go sell the spots, and then you have money in your pocket to purchase Canva, but I'll get to that. So step one would just be to kind of figure out your pricing. What we do in our area is $150 per single spot. And that is like the 100% the sweet spot. So we keep it around $150. You can go up to $250 for larger areas. We're located in a medium-sized town here in Montana. So figure out your pricing. And also find a printer that you want to use for print and fulfillment. We have a printer that we use that actually will handle the mailing part of it, so we don't ever have to touch the postcards. So then you're going to want to get a list of local businesses. And I recommend HVAC, plumbing, roofing. Always try to get a restaurant or a coffee shop, something like that, to get on the postcard, because that creates what we call a sticky postcard. People get a restaurant coupon in the mail and they're like, I really want to hang on to this. So then it sits on their fridge and all the other businesses sit on there with it. So you're going to want to find your list of businesses that you're going to reach out to, and then decide on your outreach method. Some people like to do cold calls. Some people like to do door to door. Some people like to do Facebook messages. There's multiple different ways. The way that my husband and I do it, we send out emails and we send out Facebook messages. And it's really important to message the business page, not somebody's personal page, because the business page is always going to get that message. You know how Facebook can kind of hide messages. So make sure that you're messaging the business page. And you're just going to say something simple like, hey, I'm putting together a co-op postcard that's going out to 2,500 homes in our area. Would you be interested? And then if they respond, give them more information. So once you get 16 businesses or less, depending on how big of sizes the businesses purchase, then you're going to worry about the design. And that's where Canva comes in. Most people use Canva. You can also use Adobe or things like that, but we keep it super simple, super low tech. Use Canva and create just a nice little design. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular. It just has to clearly depict what the business is trying to convey. Make sure they understand that they know that this ad's for plumbing and what they're getting if they call. And then you're going to pick your routes, and you do that. Actually, it's called EDDM through the post office. And EDDM stands for Every Door Direct Mail. And what that means is just that every piece of mail goes out to every door on that route. So you don't actually have to purchase a list, which is a really, really cool part of this business. It's completely free to go on EDDM and use that tool. So you're going to select your routes and then send it off to the printer, and you're done.
Well, that was a masterclass. That should have been our 1 hour podcast that she just did in 2 minutes. So if you don't mind, let's break some of that down. All right. I know there's people listening who are like, who do I go pitch, right? So you just said HVAC, roofers, and then you said find something sticky. I love that, right? People are going to see, 10% off at my coffee shop. They're going to put that on the fridge so they remember to go back to their coffee shop or to a restaurant. And certainly we've talked about that on our show. A restaurant gave me a coupon. It gave me a reason to come back. They gave me a coupon when I left, right? What other businesses are obvious no-brainers here? Is it simply like all of the service businesses in town, like the dentist, the orthodontist, things like that? Or are there more businesses that seem to make more sense and some that seem to make less sense?
Yeah, so this is a form of indirect advertising. There's indirect advertising, direct advertising, and direct response. So when you're talking indirect advertising, think of billboards. This is kind of like a mini billboard that goes into mailboxes. So I know a lot of people think that marketing is about immediate ROI, but that's not always the case. So with these, it's about indirect advertising. So you're just going to be in front of the customer at the time that they're looking to buy. So those smaller ticket items like the restaurants and the coffee shops, those are probably going to generate immediate response. The roofers, the HVAC guys, the plumbers, the higher ticket items, those are going to require multiple touches, which is the perfect type of business for this type of advertising. So the higher ticket items where you're okay to spend that $150 and just know that you're getting your name out there. Businesses like hair salons and things like that, they're lower ticket and they might not get as much response because it's not a super targeted mailing. So that kind of falls into that, like it's going to be a good fit for them, but they might not get immediate ROI. So higher ticket items are always really, really good for this. And then those really low ticket items that everybody uses.
Is there education happening when you do this? Like we did a whole episode of me coaching my barber, actually. I can imagine that if you went into a hair salon and you were like, that's low ticket, it's not going to make sense. However, if you were like, hey, just put a coupon in here. If you're like $10% off your first cut, that's going to get some people in the door that might get them to leave their current barber, leave their current stylist, come in there, try you out. Maybe they like the atmosphere and they stick around, right? Those are going to be, they need to get, hopefully break even on the front end and win having you come back over time, right? So are you doing coaching like that? Or are you simply skipping those people and saying, this isn't going to work right now. I'm going to go after these high ticket people first?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And there is a little bit of an education piece, but it's so minimal. And that's what I love about it. I mean, they already love direct mail, but there's just a good chance they can't afford it. So when you're giving them this really affordable option, they're trained to ask about ROI. Everybody, when they go to, how to open a business school, they're like, what's my ROI? What's my ROI? So you're going to get asked that question. And that's kind of where the education comes in. So if somebody asks me, what's my ROI on this? That's when I explain that it's about indirect advertising. This is best done when you do multiple touches. It's really just about getting your name in front of your potential customers. I even use an example sometimes, and this is quite a vast difference, but everybody knows it, everybody understands it. But when Kia sponsors the ball drop for Times Square on New Year's Eve, people are like, do they really think that I'm going to want to buy a Kia because they're sponsoring the ball drop? No, but when your car breaks down, you're going to go, oh, I think there's a Kia dealership down the road for me. It's just about being in front of your customers' minds over and over again. So that's really the biggest educational piece that we have to provide. And when I explain it to them like that, they always go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. And then their expectations are set. They know what to expect and they're happy with it.
Hey, John here. I just wanted to take a quick moment to let you know about the Low Bar Pod membership. If you've been loving the show and you'd like to hang out with myself, Ben, and a whole bunch of other like-minded individuals, then the Low Bar Pod membership is for you. It's just $9 a month or $7 a month if you take the annual option, and here's what you're going to get. One, you can join our private community platform where all of our members hang out, where myself and Ben hang out. We chat with each other. We share all sorts of stuff, ideas, ask questions, get feedback. So you get access to that community. You get access to one live Ask Me Anything session each month of the year with myself and Ben. So we get on a call. It's hosted video call. It's live. You can ask questions. You can pre-submit questions and have them answered by us. Anything to do with business. And you get access to the recording and the transcripts of every Ask Me Anything session. You get direct chat access to myself and Ben in the community. So anytime you want to run an idea past us, have us check something, have us look at your business, whatever it might be, you can chat with us in there. You get direct and exclusive access to all of the Low Bar Pod challenges that we're either running, we have run, or we're going to run in the future. So our membership platform has a space in there for all of our challenges. For example, a 75 hard business challenge that we've talked on the podcast recently, that happens inside our membership, not outside of our membership. You get access to all of the podcast and Ask Me Anything transcripts for every episode. We post those within our membership area. So if you're somebody that wants to read what we talk about rather than watch videos or listen in, you can do that. And then finally, every Monday we send out our 3 Moves Monday newsletter. We only send this to our members, and in that newsletter every week you get 3 business ideas or strategies that you could implement into either starting a new business or growing an existing business. So it's just $9 a month. You can cancel at any time, and all you need to do to get in instantly is head to lowbarpod.com/join. You'll find a link to that below.
So there's no direct advertising involved there. There's not, like I would assume the coffee shop is saying, come down for a free muffin with your coffee or something like that. Or the restaurant is doing something. The big guys, they're not doing that. They're not saying, contact us for a custom quote and we'll throw in a free whatever. It is more simply, like you said, just getting their name out there, doing brand advertising.
We do typically have offers on them as well. Like you can see, and we always try to make sure that the offers stand out so they know exactly what they're getting. So we do still encourage them to put offers on the card, because if you do happen to land in front of your customer at the time that they were wanting a bathroom remodel or wanting their nails done or whatever it is, just putting on that coupon offers that little bit of extra incentive for them to call you.
Awesome. I love the high ticket bit of that for sure. That makes going after those sort of businesses, it makes that whole conversation around, some people are going to chuck it out you only need one customer out of this. You're paying I think you said $150.
Right.
One customer for a roofer or something like that's going to be multiple thousands of dollars generally. And so I think I love that. Obviously lowers the bar so far that it'd be hard to say no, right? If somebody came to me right now and said, hey, $150, I'm going to get you in front of 2,500 people, I'd be like, yeah, sure, go nuts. You know what I mean?
Yes. And we've had a roofer on our card consistently for, I think he's going on 4 months now, and he's gotten 4 jobs from it. And so, while that might not sound like a lot to other people, 4 jobs for a roofer is huge. And his total, he bought a 6-month package with us. So it ended up being $3,000 because he bought a larger space. So he spent $3,000 and made 60. So that's when it really, really starts to work out really good for these businesses.
Yeah, awesome. Can I dive into that a little bit? So I know the number you said up front was generally $150 per space sort of thing. When you're starting out here, are you thinking about those recurring, getting people on recurring bookings, or do you kind of leave that until you've done your first couple of runs, let's say?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. When we first started doing it, we were just going card by card. So we would put out one and start on the next. We were seeing such a high repeat rate. And we wanted to go to more of a package model anyway, but we were really pleased with the repeat rate that we started selling them. So the lowest amount that they can buy is 4 mailings. So that guarantees that we've got 4 mailings going out, and we don't have to then start scrounging for the next round of advertisers. And it just sort of is kind of rolling. So it works out to be really good.
Well, there were way more than 16 companies in my town, right? So can we dive into that a little bit of I feel like I saw on your sales page, find exclusivity, right? Only have one roofer all the time. 1, that sounds great for that roofer. 2, if that roofer says I'm done with you, then you have to go back hat in hand to the other roofers and be like, well, it didn't work for Jimmy, but I tell you, it's going to work for you, right? That's going to be a hard sell, I assume. And so first off, there's a lot more than 16. So how do I narrow it to 16? Or do I simply have more mail? I have so many questions. I don't even know where to begin. You tell me. Let's start with that one.
Okay. No, that's a good question. So where do you begin? find who's already spending money on advertising. And so every time I get the Val pack in the mail, I keep it and I go through it and I see if there's anybody in there that's not an industry that's already on our next round of cards, and I'll start calling them or reaching out to them. And that has actually benefited us more than one time, because so actually the roofer that I've told you about, I got him because he was in the Valpak back to back with 2 other roofers. So they don't allow that exclusivity. So I sent him a message and I was like, hey, I always see you back to back with these other roofers in the Valpak. Would you be interested in checking out our card? And as soon as he called me right away, as soon as I explained that there's no other roofers, the price, he was 100% in, and he's been one of our best advertisers. You can also check and see who is running Google ads. So find the sponsored people on Google. They're spending money on ads, because if they're not already spending money on some sort of advertising, then you're going to run into the people that are like, I'm fine. I get all my business word of mouth, all through referrals. And then it's like, you're kind of battling. And then if they get 0, then they're going to think you're the worst person in the world. So, so that's a good place to start.
I love that. Definitely. I've spoken to so many business owners who are just like, no, I don't pay. My books are closed. I got just word of mouth. I'm happy with that. You know what I mean? And then, some businesses are just like, heck yeah, I'm spending money, I'm making money. Like it's great. I love it.
Yep.
All right. So I'm reaching out. One thing you said stood out to me. You said you're going to send a message to the page on Facebook. I'm assuming you have a page on Facebook. I know John and I do. I'm not sure we read any of our messages on there, because I would say 99 out of 100 of them are someone impersonating Facebook help, and they want us to click. I don't even understand what that is, if I'm honest with you. And so like we ignore almost every message on there. So do you find it's different with these local businesses, that they're eager to answer your Facebook message, or are they a boomer and they don't even know how to access Facebook Messenger?
Yeah, honestly, our response rate on Facebook Messenger is really good. I don't have the exact numbers, but that is our number 1 source of filling these cards. And then our number 2 source is emails. So we have found that sending a quick Facebook message, it's directly linked to like my personal page, because you can't message from your own business page. So I'm messaging from my personal page. They get to check me out. I post about our company. I post about the cards. They get to a direct link to go scope me out and see who I am. And they just feel really comfortable responding. And I'll always include my phone number after they say they want more information. I'm like, give me a call if you want to. And if they don't respond, then I call them.
All right, let's talk money then. Let's dive right in. So what do I charge per spot? You said 150 to 250, depending on the size of the town. Give me an idea of what, when you say small to medium. I grew up in a small town that had like 4,000 people, and people are like, oh, that's not even a town, bro. Now I live in a town of like 20,000 people. Most people, I would assume, consider that small. I also lived in one of like 60 with a college in it. Again, where is small to you in Montana, and what size town are we looking at for these prices?
Yeah, so where we live is 2,000, but where we do these cards is about 70,000. And Montana as a whole, I mean, the biggest city here is about 100,000 people. It's just a very small state. And marketing is kind of this weird concept to people here in Montana. They are very word of mouth based, referral based. So when I say small to medium, it's like the mindset that I'm kind of referring to. It is on the smaller end. It's definitely not a large metropolis, but everybody has a really small town mindset.
And the 150 to 250, that's based on like trial and error for you, or like how did you land on the sweet spot of 150 to 250? Because again, as you said, a roofer who lands a roofing job, or an HVAC person who lands, they're the person that gets the furnace job. That's worth a lot to them. And so I'm curious how you landed on the 150, 250 price point.
Yeah. So we actually started way back when we were doing a larger mailing. So we would send out to 10,000 homes instead of the 2,500, because we were just like, let's blast out and like get a large portion of the town. But that price point came in around $600 per ad space. And we were getting a lot of feedback from businesses saying that they couldn't afford that. That wasn't in their budget. So we were like, well, how do we just dial it way back and do more mailings with these guys? So now when we sell that 4-pack of mailings, it works out to be the same 10,000 postcards, but now they're paying for 4 mailings that hit the same people multiple times. So when they're paying that $600 price range for 4 mailings, the value outweighs the cost.
And you're kind of breaking up, I assume you're charging them like once a month or something, so you're breaking up the cost of that $600 as well, right?
So we actually charge them all up front.
Do you?
We do. Yeah. We have considered, we haven't needed to, but we have considered doing a monthly thing where if we want to line people up for 6 months or 12 months and then not have to touch it for 6 or 12 months. But we haven't needed to do that yet. We have a community of people that we teach this to, and some markets are different where they're like, it's really, really tough to get that $600 up front. So then we tell them just break it up into 2 payments or take it monthly. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do it depending on your market. And you can kind of just, that's why we recommend starting with one card, gather all of that market feedback and see what's going to make sense and what people are going to respond to in your area.
Most nights, my brain won't shut off. I'm lying there chasing new ideas, diving down rabbit holes, thinking through business problems, all of it. I can't turn it off, and honestly, I don't even want to. I fucking love this stuff. But I do need solid sleep if I'm going to show up as the best version of myself for my wife, for my kids, for my business partners, and for me. So every night I take Kill Switch from Switch Supplements. I've been taking it for years. I take a scoop, I watch a quick YouTube video, and within a half an hour, I'm out. It works every single time. My wife takes it. My employee takes it. We even gave it out at a couple of our live events and everyone loved it. If you're the same way, you can't turn it off, but you still want to win big the next day, go to switchsupplements.com/lowbar and use the code lowbar to get $10 off your first order. That's switchsupplements.com/lowbar and use the code lowbar. Sleep like you're dead. My brain immediately runs to refunds. John and I sell stuff in e-commerce. We sell stuff in information products. There's always someone who's like, I don't like what you have. Give me my money back. I imagine there's going to be a business owner who complains. What does that actually look like? Are you locking them in and saying, hey, when you pay, you're going out no matter what? Or is there some leniency there? And how often does this happen, if at all?
So it's never happened to us, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. If somebody were to ask us for their money back and no cards have gone out yet, we would happily give it back. But we haven't run into that yet. So that's really good.
Yeah, the reason it comes out is like, imagine you're about to print, someone wants their money back and they back. What do you just make someone else's slot big? You immediately start calling the other 15 and say, I've got a double slot here. We can improve your listing. Or are you calling new businesses to try to fit somebody in there at the end?
Yeah, I would try to go back to anybody that maybe you were talking to who was interested that you didn't close, or start fresh. But I would definitely push back on that business a little bit and ask them why they're wanting to back out. Explain to them that, hey, you taking this spot beat out other businesses and now we're going to print today. That really, really screws somebody else out of a spot, so can we talk about why you're feeling this way? What's going through your head? And just kind of get to the why, I would recommend, and figure out what's going through their head. Why do they want that money back? And try to keep them.
I'm shocked you don't have something to say here, John. I could see your smile lighting up, your eyes lighting up. You're like, oh yeah, no one's getting their money back. I'm going to sell these people on more stuff.
No, I don't think it's. I think once again, like the price point is such that I don't think you would get a lot of refund requests. Like particularly like the difference between the cost and like the amount of work they have to do, which is nothing, right? To get in front of the amount of people, like I said earlier, like $150 to get in front of 2,500 households, essentially, which is actually more people than that, because there's going to be multiple people in most households. Like it's hard to argue with that. Like I think as a business owner, personally, in my opinion, would be you'd have to be a bit of an idiot to argue with that. Like if you knew you had a good product that, you have a good service, a good product that you deliver to people and you're reasonably competitive in your area, I think you would have I think I would have a high degree of confidence that if somebody pitched this to me, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to get at least one customer at some point, which is going to cover the 150 or 600 or whatever the package is cost of that. I think it would be hard to argue with it, I think, personally. So I like it. I think it's that mix of, it's a fairly low price point as far as marketing is concerned. Like once again, I mean, there's not that much marketing that you can do at that sort of price point, I think. People have been doing it forever, right? So, I mean, direct mail or sending stuff to people's mailboxes has been around since mailboxes have been around, right. Basically, which is a long time. And so I think, yeah, I mean, I love this. I think there's a lot of upside to it, both for obviously, people who are doing it from Rachel's side, but also businesses, like, you know what I mean? You're making something that would cost them a lot more to do by themselves, like significantly cheaper. I mean, I think that's really cool. And you're just taking the thought of having to do it out of their hands as well. Like they don't have to do anything here. once
Right.
again, you know what I mean? Like you're doing it all for them. You're doing the design. You're arranging it all. And so, yeah, I can see how for, once again, like service-based businesses, local service-based businesses, they're often run by people who are not particularly marketing savvy and like, or technology, their technology is not their thing and they're busy, right? I mean, you know what I mean? They're out on sites and all of that sort of thing. So I think anytime you can go to those sort of people and say, hey, I'll do this for you. This is what it's going to be like. You have exclusivity, which is great as well. I love that. And we're just going to do it all for you. Like that plays with that type of business as well. And that type of business owner. Whereas
Yeah.
if you said that to me as an online guy who's familiar with like digital stuff and I can make my own designs and all that sort of thing, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, that's a cool idea, but I think I can do that myself. Thank you. Thank you for the idea. I'm going to steal that idea.
We thought that that was going to happen a lot more because I was like, this is so simple. If we bring this to business owners, like, who's to say they're not just going to be like, let me just go do that myself? And we're like, well, if they do it, they do it. And nobody has done it. So,
Yeah, they don't, but they don't want to do it. Like I think it's really easy as somewhere. Obviously, you guys, probably have a bit of marketing background and that sort of thing. I can see you're doing other marketing things out in the world, and like to the average business owner though, like it seems a lot harder than it is.
right. Exactly.
Like a lot of things that we do. Like I would say, I can build a website in a day. For most people though, that's like, building a website. I got no idea how to do that. You know what I mean? It seems really intimidating and a lot harder than it actually is. But once again, it would just be one more thing for them to think about. And I think that's what's really nice about this is you're saying you don't have to do anything. We're just going to do it all for you. Just say yes, pay the bill, you're in, you're done, sort of thing. And it's one less thing to think about.
Yeah. We do the design. We let you know when it's going to print. We let you know when it's arriving to mailboxes.
Yeah.
And we even send photos of all the printed postcards because our printer sends us the photos. So then we can share those with our advertisers. So they're updated the whole step, every step of the way, and they don't have to do anything.
All right. So you told us who to go serve, right? The business to serve, how to pitch them, exactly what I'm charging per slot. You told me to go get the money beforehand, which I love. How the hell am I designing this? Rachel, like I understand Canva. Canva's a great tool, but the ones you held up, clearly someone's put a little bit of time into there, and maybe inside of your membership, you're welcome to pitch here. You offer these templates, which would be super beneficial, but like, how am I designing this and who's designing it? And then I have a bunch of like minutia questions inside of there.
Yes. So that's a good question. And this is where some people start to get stuck. Inside of the community, we do have templates that you guys can choose from to make it super easy. So basically just have to, switch out maybe the photos, the logo, the text information. But what's really cool about Canva is that most of these designs in here, like this one especially, are already templates. Like these are already laid out inside of Canva. You really don't have to do all that much. You can go and search the templates. They've got it all laid out for you. You just exchange the contact information, the logo, the photos, and it's pretty much done for you. We get a little bit more creative with it because we have experience with Canva. But I mean, you could literally go and design one in 2 minutes because of Canva and all the resources that it has in there. Some people, and this is what I like to say, who, not how. So if you're somebody that kind of lives by that statement and you don't want to learn Canva, and no matter how easy it is, you can hire a designer off of Fiverr for maybe $10 per ad and get it done for you.
How often are you running into business owners who, they have a 200 by 200 JPEG for you and you need, 1,000 by 1,000 PNG with no background? How often are you running into tech stuff like that where the business you're pitching just doesn't have the assets for you?
Yeah, so we do run into it sometimes, but we're typically able to go and grab what we need off their website or their Facebook page because we've gotten some crazy logos sent to us where it's like huge or it's in a PDF format. You can't do what you need to do with it. So we can grab it off their website or their Facebook page and make it work. So that really hasn't been a big issue for us.
And then I assume, like you said, Canva has templates. So are there some with, a quarter slot for one and then 8 other little slots and maybe like, do you have big slots and little slots and full page? Are you offering all of these examples and Canva is just ready to go for you? Or are you basically making your pitch based off the templates you see in Canva because that's your limitations?
No, what's cool is you can design. Okay, so let me explain this in the easiest way. All right, so this inside of Canva, like these sizes here, is a separate design. So you make this like the 3 by 3 inches inside of Canva, and then you go to the template section, and it's going to have 3 by 3 templates ready for you. Same with this one. This one's 6 by 6. So you make a design in Canva that's 6 by 6, and then go pull up the templates, and it's going to have all of the templates to fit that. And then you download that and put it into the larger template. So any size you don't have to make it this layout. We've had people do, like 3 across each side. We've had people do 8. So it's completely up to you. And Canva's so versatile that whatever size you make it, there's going to be a template to match.
Hey, John here for just a sec. You know how we're always breaking down these wild business ideas and road testing opportunities that other podcasts won't touch? Well, we're growing our own business here. This podcast, and we need your help. So here's the deal. If the Low Bar podcast has given you that holy shit I can actually do this moment, or just made your commute less boring, help us out. If you're watching on YouTube, go and hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on Spotify, go to our profile page on Spotify and smash that 5-star button. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, hit the review button and leave us a review. It takes you just 30 seconds, costs you nothing, but helps us reach more people who think starting a business is rocket science, which it's not. And it will also give us the momentum we need to do even more fun and crazy business stuff right here for your entertainment. We love to keep it real with you. Now keep it real with us. Let's grow this thing together.
All right. If we move on to shipping from there, you said find someone to print these, and if you're lucky, your printer will ship them. When I did a quick Google of, is it EMDD? Is that the phrase I searched? Something with USPS, right, for these postcards?
Yeah, EDDM.
EDDM. I immediately see, Vistaprint and all the usual characters in the sponsored listing saying, yeah, we can create these for you, right? And so I assume that's probably not my first choice. Should be one of these big printing houses, or maybe it should be. You tell me. How am I finding a printer to do this? And then how do I luck into having somebody who's going to handle, the back end work there of actually getting them shipped out as well?
Yeah, so we were actually planning on using, when we first started, we were looking into UPrinting and then GotPrint. The issue that we ran into with both of those was that for their EDDM printing, this right here is called an indicia. And that's just saying that it's, every door direct mail, it goes to every door in that route. So it's basically like the address area, but without an address because it doesn't need one. So that's what is referred to as an indicia. And on GotPrint and UPrinting's website, they had a template that they wanted you to follow where the indicia was going to be like right in the middle of some of the ads. So we're like, well, that's not really going to work for us. So we actually found a printer. He's out of New York State, and he is just absolutely phenomenal to work with. And he's a little bit more flexible. Like, you can send him what you have as long as it matches USPS requirements. He'll print it. So what he'll do is bundle them. They have to be bundled into bundles of 100, and they have to be bundled with like a tie, not a rubber band. And then they have to have facing slips on it saying how many postcards are in that bundle, where they go, zip code, post office, all that stuff that the carriers need to know. And then he puts them into boxes and ships them to your local post office. And most EDDM printers will do that service. So I highly recommend that. Otherwise, you're going to have 2,500 postcards showing up to your doorstep that you then have to bundle, put the facing slips on, and bring to your post office. So it's a little bit more to have that service done, but then it's completely 100% hands off.
Is that something you share in your community? Is that like this particular person? Maybe not, but is there a resource inside of there of like, hey, I use this guy in Kansas City, or I use this person in Portland and they're awesome?
Yes. We do have his contact information in there. We have price shopped a lot of people at a lot of places, and his prices are outstanding for what we have found compared to UPrinting and GotPrint and Vistaprint. And the whole process is just so smooth.
Awesome. So how many hours does this actually take someone?
So we spend less than an hour on it each day. We've gotten to the point now, especially with doing the packs, where, we might have a couple people falling off that we have to go fill. So we sit down and we send like 5 Facebook messages, maybe every day or every other day. When you're first getting started, you want to do this every day. You want to make sure you're sending messages out every single day. So I recommend sending 5 Facebook messages and maybe 10 to 30 emails every day. And that's going to take you at most 30 minutes. So it's really, really simple.
What's the biggest mistake people make on their first card? Because like I said, I'm a little antsy to go give this a go. And I want to tie it into an episode we did 2 weeks ago or a week ago. I'm not sure when this is coming out, but I'll tie it in later in the show. And I think they could all play together. But what's a big mistake that I might run into right away? Like what's something I might fall on my face and be like, oh, I should have listened to Rachel on this.
So I would say that the biggest mistake that we made was not setting the expectations on that whole ROI conversation that I was talking about earlier. So it wasn't really anything to do with the outreach process or the design process. It was something we found later that we were like, we should have set the expectations a little bit better up front so that when we call them and say, hey, do you want to do another card? And they're like, I didn't get anything off of that one mailing. It's kind of hard to then tell them, oh, well, that's not really the point of this. You have to do multiple. So we make sure to set those expectations up front. And since doing that, our repeat rate skyrocketed because they were like, okay, I understand that doing this 4, 8, 12 times is going to give me a whole lot better results than doing it one and hoping that my business explodes.
I want to talk about scaling, but let's go to Story Corner first, right? In every business, there's a horror story. And I know you have some good ones too. You talked about someone in Ireland doing this. You talked about a single mom. I want to hear all the stories. So whether you want to start, if you want to make a nice sandwich out of this and tell a good story, a horror story, and tell a good one, I don't care. I want to go to Story Corner with you. Tell me either a good story or a horror story or all of the above.
Yeah. So, okay, horror story. And this goes back to the ROI conversation. The first mailing that we did, we were dealing with an electrician who was asking us every question you could ever think of under the sun when it comes to these postcards. And I'm happy to answer questions all day long. I was starting to get a vibe like he was extremely skeptical. And I just was like, he's not going to be happy no matter what. So I just told him, I was like, I don't think that this is a good fit for you. So like, if you want to wait and once we've got more cards done and see how it goes for other people, then we can kind of have a conversation and see if it's something you want to pursue. But he insisted on being on that card, and against our better judgment, we let him because we wanted to get the card filled. And nothing happened right away, but it was actually just like a month or two ago. My husband and I travel a lot. We've got family all over the country and in other countries. So this is business we can do from anywhere. And of course, we're always posting on Facebook when we're going these cool places. And he commented on one of my posts and he said, glad I helped fund all of these vacations you're taking. It gets under my skin. I really have to tell you that. I was like, oh my God, we ruined this guy's life over this postcard. I mean, we did not set those expectations properly. I tried to tell him like, this might not be an immediate response. We should have probably just told him, no, like you shouldn't be on this card. But so I blocked him and I was like, okay, sorry. So that's why I stress the expectations so much, because we have been stewing in that guy's mind for the last year because he didn't get any results off of one postcard.
I think we've had a few of those. Am I wrong, John?
Yep, setting expectations is very important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate the horror story. Tell us a good one. You when we had our little pre-call, you mentioned a few stories about the Ireland person and the single mom. Great stories. Share them with us if you don't mind.
Yeah, so we've got a guy in Ireland doing these cards, and actually my mom lives in Ireland, so I was able to kind of help him a little bit on sort of pivoting to match what he can do in Ireland, because there's nothing like EDDM in Ireland. So he actually had to hire somebody to go door to door and place these postcards on like their doorstep. But he was so hell bent on doing it. He was like, this is such a cool idea. Everyone in my town is going to love it. And he's in the print space already. He's a print broker. So I was able to kind of help him pivot and figure out what he needed to do. So I was actually just talking with him before we got on here. He sent me a picture of his card. He's got another one going out, and he hired somebody to hand deliver them. And it actually works out to be cheaper than if something like EDDM existed. So it works out really good. And I think that's a really good example of how this can work in many different markets. We have somebody in Australia. We've got a couple people in London. So you can kind of just pivot to other countries and use the same concept. So it's really cool. We love seeing people from around the world doing this as well.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions. I'm obviously very Australian, Like, my question was going to be, have you seen people doing it in other countries? Because I know obviously we've talked about using a particular service that the US Postal Service provides already, which obviously isn't going to exist in every country out there.
Right. Yeah.
Is it simply just that, like, you're kind of, because obviously you can make the same cards and you can do the card thing or some version of that, you know, the same everywhere. But if your postal service doesn't offer such a service, like, do you think it's simply just a case of, you know, finding somebody who will go around and just chuck it in people's letterboxes for you or something like that?
Yeah, it's just finding what distribution routes are available for your country. In Canada, we've got a few people in Canada as well, and that's called neighborhood mail, which is their equivalent to EDDM. So they can use neighborhood mail to get the distribution completed. Ireland doesn't have anything like that except for air post, which is extremely expensive. So he hired a door walker. And then in London, I forget the exact name of it, but they have something similar that is kind of like EDDM, but a little bit different. So it's just about finding the distribution channels that are available or getting creative and coming up with your own.
Yeah, I would have to think there would be something existing in most countries because, as you said earlier in the call, like, I mean, this is basically a practice that's existed forever.
Right.
Like, putting things in people's mailboxes that advertise stuff is like one of the original forms of marketing in modern times, at least. And so I would want to think that there's somebody out there who's got the distribution piece reasonably sorted. And as you say, you've just got to go and find out who that is, what that is, see what their pricing is, and see if it makes, you know, if the economics work out, really.
Right, exactly. So just if you're in another country doing this, find that distribution channel, check the local printers, and kind of get all those costs narrowed down. And then you can kind of start dividing it up based on how many slots you want to have available on the card. And then you can kind of determine if that price point is going to make sense for your country and your market.
In America, there's a law that I can't go put something in your mailbox. Like that's literally a federal crime here, which is wild to me. Is that a law in Australia, John, or Ireland or anywhere? Like, you know, it's rarely enforced, or at least that's what the internet's telling me, right? But like, I assume if you did it enough, some Karen's going to complain to the city at least, right? Like, can you do that there, John?
Look, I'm not aware of any law that says you can't. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I've put stuff in people's letterboxes before, so I think so. We have people that walk suburbs, right, and put stuff in like because they put it in my mailbox, and I've seen them, and you see them walking past, and you always just want to yell at them, "Hey, buddy, not here!"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've got to go and get that massive, it's like a big wad of all sorts. But it's like from big box stores and stuff will do this. Like they'll send their, you know, like we have somebody that walks around and they're holding a bundle of like 10 catalogs from like your big box stores and they're sticking it in there. So, I mean, this stuff exists, I think. I think here, like people will put on like signs on their letterbox, like no spam or like, you know, like no junk mail. Kind of thing. Junk mail is the terminology we have in Australia. Yep. And so I think some people will respect that and some people won't. I guess the biggest risk you have is if you don't respect it and the person who owns the property sees you putting it in there, you might have some conversations that are not that are not pleasant. But once again, if you're the person sending out the postcards, that's not your job. Like you're paying somebody else to have that conversation for you. So really, you know, who cares?
My wife has a sign just for that, John. It says, "We're not interested in your service, your election, your religion," and a whole bunch of things listed on there. And it just says, "It's not you, it's us. Don't hit the doorbell. Don't make it weird." And shit. Yeah, it works. It works.
Yep. I always like to say you're only limited by the law and your creativity.
True.
I like it. So how does this scale? Like that's my question, right? I can see you doing one postcard. I can see people re-upping this. You sounds like you're doing something monthly. How does this scale? Like 2,500 is not a very big part of the town. Are you simply going to other chunks of the town? Are you going to different towns? What does scaling this actually look like?
Yeah, so you can add multiple cards. We run 2 every single month, but what we teach inside of our community and what we've done in our own business is we use these cards as a foot in the door offer. There are so many other services that you can offer. We do website development, brand reputation management, and sometimes we'll do like CRM build outs or just simple automation. So it just depends what kind of fits into your skill set. A lot of people inside of our community also offer print services, and it's kind of referred to as print brokering. So what you'll do is somebody needs flyers, door hangers, banners, brochures, yard signs, and then you go to a print broker website like 4Over, Fire Sprint, or the printer that we use, he's got really fantastic prices as well. And you just mark that up a little bit. You provide the design, you kind of are like the print liaison, just sort of closing the gap so these people don't have to go shop around. So that's a really, really good service to offer as well. Not everybody wants to get into the digital side of things, the digital marketing, all that good stuff, but that is what we do. So we're using the postcards as that foot in the door offer. We're building the relationship with the business owner. We're providing them this really trustworthy, awesome service that they love at a really affordable cost. And then chances are they're going to say, hey, what else do you do? Or it gives us the opportunity to say, hey, can we help you with your website? Can we help you with your Google business profile? We can help you get more reviews, that kind of thing. So instead of trying to cold pitch websites and some of those services, it just opens the door to a lot more things. So when talking about scaling, just think about what else you can offer to the same audience. And that's where you're going to be able to scale.
How did you get into this? I would imagine your story didn't start with you making postcards, right? So like, what is the journey for you to get to where you are now?
Yeah, so we have had our agency for a couple of years now, and we were working on CRM build outs, automations, websites, and then we were like, how do we form a better relationship with these guys instead of just saying, hey, do you want a website? Hey, do you want a website? Going to endless chamber events, trying to get your name out there for something that everybody does. And so that's when we decided to install this to the forefront of our business to really help kind of form and solidify those relationships. So the postcards actually came after our agency was even started. And then it really just started kind of building this beautiful funnel for everybody to keep coming into our business.
Yeah, I like that because, I mean, presumably your website services and that sort of thing cost more, right? So that's a higher ticket offer that you have. And this is kind of like your low ticket entry point for a business. Do you know what I mean? So you can go and do that. And it's a kind of a, I don't know what the right term is, but like, it's like a really low friction sort of entry point for you to start having that relationship, but that pays for itself as well.
Right.
You know
exactly.
what I mean? Like, I mean, that's the best form of marketing, right? It's marketing that pays for itself
Yes.
straight away because you can just do that as much as you want. And you don't have any worries. So I think that's this would be a really good thing for somebody to bolt on to an existing local business that they already have helping other businesses, I think, as well as you guys did. That makes a lot of sense for sure.
We've built a lead generation machine that also pays us. So you really can't beat that.
No, you really can't. That's the dream.
Yeah, right.
All right, I'm going to pitch you a whole different idea then, right? You said scale by offering them different services. We did a podcast on this recently. I'm going to share you a picture and see if you can riff on this with me, right? So
Cool.
Right now you're doing postcards. I saw this post on X and I was like, oh, I've seen these before, let alone I live in Wisconsin where all the bars are. So this, again, Nick Huber, he's a bit of a troll, so I'm not sure if this is all true, but this guy has 160 TVs spread out in dive bars across North Georgia, $10 to advertise, over 30 ads rotating. He makes 20 grand a month. So my question for you is, on that show, we were like, oh, this is a good idea. Then we moved to local newsletters. So simply you saying what's going on in your local area this month and selling ads inside of those. And then I was like, well, we're about to have Rachel on. Rachel's got a whole nother idea that we should pair here. What stops you, or tell me if this is a terrible idea and why, what stops you from having more advertising channels rather than pushing them to a website or a CRM or an automation, things like that? Like, it feels like you could scale the advertising just in different avenues in your town.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Somebody in our community does something really similar to that with the TV screens, local newsletters, things like that. That is an absolutely awesome way to scale. And it fits in perfectly. It kind of falls into that shared advertising model. Another thing that we do that kind of fits into that and the postcards is we put these giant 2 foot by 3 foot dry erase boards inside of busy restaurants. And then we'll have 6 local businesses sponsor the bottom of the board. The restaurant gets the board for free. They can write their specials on it. It goes right at the front door. And with those, you can make $3,000 profit per board. So it kind of fits into that as well. So I'm glad you brought that up because I completely forgot to mention our boards. So that's another profit generator kind of in that shared advertising model. So I think that just kind of going full out shared advertising is a business in itself. And even things like tabletop advertising, that's really big. You can make a ton of money doing stuff like that.
I agree. Every time I hear a little bit of this, it feels like you could run the monopoly on advertising in your town, right? Every business needs to go through Rachel if they want to get in front of somebody. And like, that seems like a great place to be as a business owner.
Right. Yeah. Even like the home service magazines, things like that. We've never looked into printing magazines or anything like that, but that would be the exact same concept. Get people to buy a page or half a page inside of a magazine, send it out to all the homes quarterly or seasonally, and that would fit in perfectly too.
Well, speaking of seasonally, that is my last question I have for you. You said have exclusivity, and my brain immediately went to, is competition bad? Like, could you do, rather than, okay, I do one every month and I only have one HVAC guy, I only have one electrician, I have one dentist on the card, could you do more themed cards? So like, here's a bar card that goes out quarterly, right? And all the bars get on there, and you're, maybe you're targeting a different section of town that is more, bar friendly, if you will. I'm not sure how you're targeting any of this stuff in the city, but I imagine there's some thought behind it. So could there be a bar card? Could there be a restaurant card that goes out quarterly? And I can't imagine all the restaurants are going to be mad to be on the restaurant card, right? Or holiday cards, right? Can there be a, here's what's going on for Thanksgiving card, or 4th of July card, or a Christmas card? Is there an opportunity to scale that way by having more theme cards that you're kind of leaning more into the competition, because that's actually, the point of the card is to be a theme?
Yeah, 100%. We've had people in our community do exactly what you said, like the restaurant cards. All of the local restaurants get sent out, and then that card is going to stay on the fridge, and they're going to probably use every single coupon that's on there. So that is a fantastic idea, especially if you're sending to kind of like a college area, pizza takeout, Chinese takeout, that kind of thing. And then we also had a member who did a health and wellness type card, where it was like a massage therapist, what am I thinking of? Oh, physical therapist, things like that, where it all kind of fits into that health and wellness category. So you could absolutely do that. We had another member who there was hairstylists all in the same building, and they all did different types of hair. Like one did blonde highlights, one did curly hair, one did this, one did that. And they all got on a postcard together and said, like, I'm the curly hair cutter, I'm the blonde highlight person. So yeah, you could get absolutely creative with that and have it be competitors, but it's all kind of like targeting the same thing. So absolutely.
I'm taking so many notes over here. Like in the barber episode, he's in a building with 40 other little rooms inside of there, right? There's nail folks, there's eyelash folks, there's the mani-pedi folks, there's everything in there, right? And so, and hairdressers and barbers and all that stuff. And so I imagine you could just go into that building, proposition this to everyone in there, and come out with a card for that building that goes out monthly. And God, I don't know. Once again, BK wants to do the idea that we said on the show. I think this is going to be a recurring theme.
I love it. That's awesome.
Where can people find you? You're pretty easy to find online, but tell people where they can find you. Tell people about your amazing community as well, because you're not charging enough, if I'm honest.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You can find us on YouTube. Our YouTube is Big Sky Automation. And if you want to check out our free mini course, we put together a whole course that kind of is like a high level overview of everything we talked about here today, giving you the steps of how you can get started. You can go to communitycardplaybook.com.
We'll put a link in the description so you guys can check that out. She's not pushing it hard enough. Her membership is $34 a month. Anyone watching this can come up with $34 to learn how to do this and be around a group of people that are doing it. And so if she won't push it, I'll push it for her. Thanks for coming on, Rachel.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys.